This is Will to Win, Overcoming Long COVID. My goal is to raise awareness about the fact there are hundreds of millions of people worldwide who contracted COVID and are still sick months and years later. I know something about that myself. I got COVID back in February of 2020. 5.5 years later, 6 surgeries. I'm on a road to recovery and healing, but it hasn't been easy. And now I'm trying to share my story and bring to light the doctors and others who are working hard to help people get better. Today's guest is Michael Alcock. He is the author of Secrets to Long-Haul Viral Recovery. He's a self-proclaimed recovered long hauler. Of course, these episodes are for informational and educational purposes, not medical advice. So please chat with your own medical professionals before you try anything we discuss during these shows. Michael, thank you so much for speaking with me. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, considering you are on the other side of the world right now, in Australia. So first of all, tell me a little bit about how you ended up in this chronic fatigue area of discussion where you've pretty much become an expert when it seems like you probably didn't want to be early on.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here. Yeah, absolutely. I was 26 years old. I was at university and just a normal kid, pretty much just having fun and doing what he could to get ahead in the world. And I got struck down with the Epstein-Barr virus, and I had a really, really long recovery with that. It was really up and down, really miserable, and I had to pretty much figure out how to get better. I went to several doctors, and most of them had not very much helpful advice for me. So I had to go on the internet and figure out what was going on. And yeah, I made a bit of a recovery in 2018 and was getting better. And then we all know COVID came around in 2020, and we all had a good time with that. So I caught COVID and had a pretty tough time with that too. So uh, I guess all of this experience has allowed me to put it all together, and I've had a bit of a head start on all the people that have developed long COVID in the last couple of years. So that's I figured I had some helpful advice to give to people.
So you went from Epstein-Barr virus to the COVID virus, and you've tried to figure things out on your own to try and figure out how you could get your body back to baseline. It seems like you've been using a lot of natural ways. And one of the things I loved about your social media is you talk about whole foods. You talk about, hey, like eat an avocado or go to your local Vietnamese restaurant to get some bone broth if you don't feel like making it for hours on end in your own kitchen. So you're trying to find simple ways to encourage people to pretty much just, eat healthy and find ways to give the body the nutrients that it needs without maybe resorting to lots of medicine, correct?
Basically, yeah. I find it interesting that the doctors will try and sell you drugs or maybe a sort of invasive surgeries, but they won't even ask you about nutrition or even asking to do like a blood test to see if you're deficient in anything. So yeah, it's I found the route of going down just eating really good food and trying to figure out what your body needs, uh, what it needs to fight a virus or to rebuild uh, your vasculature, your gut, whatever the problem is. 'Cause this whole problem, like it's the inflammation that's caused by these viruses, can affect your whole body, and I think that's part of the reason why doctors aren't, or the whole medical profession isn't. They're not too. I don't want to say clued up about it, but like it's almost like a problem that covers a lot of different parts of the body, and they tend to be more focused on one area, and that's why it's out of their scope in some ways. So yeah,
Hmm.
I've found that the natural way works. It definitely worked for me, and it seems to work for a lot of other people as well. There are some drugs you
Hmm.
can take that can help with things, particularly for those with very severe symptoms. But I think they shouldn't be relied upon. I think the giving your body what it needs to heal and boost the immune system should always be the number one thing.
What are you eating these days? Tell me.
Lots of fruit, lots of vegetables, lots of beef. I have a few recipes that I stick to. Chili con carne's a big one for me. I have for every Saturday I make a big pot of chili con carne, and I'll have like a big salad with that as well. lots of guacamole. I love guacamole, and I've found that just absolutely resets me every Saturday and covers most of my nutritional needs. So yeah, it's that's a big one. But yeah, pretty much just try to avoid the processed foods or get as much vitamin C and zinc as I can from foods, and yeah, just a bit of fish. Just try to cover everything I need so my body has what it needs to rebuild and live like I want to.
I feel like even someone who's not recovering from a virus could take that advice to heart and really focus on good, healthy, clean living. Although you have published some books and you are in the space of trying to help people who have been sick, have you also thought about branching out to help others who maybe, just want to live a healthy lifestyle?
Yeah, I've definitely thought about that. I've been speaking with some marketing guys, and they've said perhaps that would be a good way to spread the word a little bit as well. So yeah, I think this stuff definitely applies to sick people for sure, and for healthy people too that are interested in improving their health. I've found since I've really dug into my nutrition and my lifestyle that my physical performance in the gym, in sport, has all increased. I'm a lot sharper, I have more energy. So it's almost as if while it did kind of sucked to go through all of that. I have learned a lot, and I think it'll help me a lot later in life for sure.
One of my goals of this podcast, the will to win these episodes, is to focus on giving people hope. And what I love is that you give people that hope based on just the tagline saying that you're a recovered long hauler. A lot of people can't say that they're a recovered long hauler. How long did it take you to finally say and use that word recovered instead of just saying you were a COVID long hauler?
Well, I suppose I went through two episodes. The first one with the Epstein-Barr, and I had, I believe, uh, you guys call it mononucleosis. So probably it was about 3 years after I first got sick with that was when I sort of said, okay, like I can kind of come back to normal life now, and I feel good. And then with COVID, I suppose because I had a bit of that experience with Epstein-Barr and dealing with chronic fatigue that way, it was I want to say about 3 months before I could start coming back to my normal activities, basketball, working out a little bit. So yeah, for some people, yeah, it takes. I know several people on Twitter. I've talked to them that they've been struggling with symptoms for years, since 2020, and yeah, it can be like that if you can't figure it out, or you can't get help, or you can't take time off work, or whatever it is. It's just an accumulation of inflammation and nutrient deficiencies and stress, and yeah, it can really take a while for some people to get over.
And as we were talking about, I've been through 6 surgeries because it impacted a lot of my veins. So I have a stent now. I've got certain veins in my legs ablated, certain foam used to, kill off certain veins so that my body can work properly. But it's been since February of 2020. So it's been, 5.5 years. So I haven't been able to run like I used to. I was doing half marathons, 5Ks, 10Ks, lots of running, and I can't do it. I haven't done any of that in the last 5.5 years. So I look forward to getting back to running once I can focus on that. But it's your kind of effort that I just love to see out there. It's positive, it's energetic, it's not focused as much on the negative. What is next for you? What's your next goal beyond what the literature that you've put out?
It's going to be the marketing phase, I suppose, of my message and how I want to help people. So I've yeah, written a book, and that took a while to get out there. Amazon had a few issues with some of the things I talked about because of COVID, but eventually they said it was okay, so I was happy with that. But yeah, now it's just getting the word out there. So it'll be pushing ahead with social media marketing and talking to people as much as I can, and just giving value out. So I mean, while it'd be great if people would just buy my book, and that'd make it easy for everyone. But uh, I think a lot of people just want to talk to people that have been through that as well. So that sort of builds that trust that there are people out there that actually want to help instead of just trying to take your money, which I can totally understand. There's a lot of scared, vulnerable people out there. I was there several years ago when life was very tough. I felt very isolated and didn't know where to turn. Doctors weren't helping me, so
Yeah.
it's a tricky thing to be in that sort of state of mind and then have the confidence to reach out to someone and say, "Oh, hey, I need help," and uh, but also being aware that not everyone's going to have your best interest at heart. So I can totally understand why there might be a bit of a mistrust there.
Talk to me about your book.
I tried to make it as concise as possible because there's a lot of medical jargon out there, and the average person either doesn't have the time or doesn't have the interest to look into it. So I figured it would be much easier to just talk in plain language, get to the point, not have any fluff in there, and just give everyone what they need. Like because there are so many things that can help in little ways. I figured I'd just put like the biggest things in there that made the most impact for me and what I've seen for others. So they can just try the best things first, and if that works for them, great. And there are plenty of other things that they can try that can give results. But yeah, from what I've found, everything that I put into the book works the best for most people. So yeah, it's a collection of what not to do, things to avoid. There's a lot of things in life that can hold you back, whether it's environmental, the food you eat, stress, all
Mhm.
that sort of stuff. And then there's recipes. The types of foods I've found have been the most effective. And there's medical treatments, there's supplements, the prescription medication you can get that seems to work for some people, and just a lot of advice from what I went through that to deal with the emotions that'll come up and trying to get help from people as well. Because when you're in that sort of, it's almost like this desperate, isolated state, and you're just trying to get help from people, and a lot of the time they say, "Oh, hey, I've got my own problems, buddy. Like I don't, like I want to help you, but I can't give you too much of my energy." So it really is a tough place to be, and I suppose I just wanted to give like a lifeline to show that you can get through it, and there are people out there that care.
I love to hear that. I really do. And I know that isolated feeling until I found my doctors who did the surgery on me and who gave me, a roadblock to, a road to recovery. It was a day by day challenge to figure out, how do we fix this? How do we get better? And it's so nice to hear what you're doing. It seems like you're not gatekeeping all of this, which I'd like to hear. You really want to be able to tell people, but as we spoke about before, this is not a push for medical advice. Everyone's body reacts differently to different things. So how are you balancing, the careful steps of encouraging someone to try something without necessarily telling them, this is the way that you're going to get better?
Yeah, it's a tricky road to walk for sure. Uh, I've found that you can say, "Oh, this has worked for me. This seems to work for a lot of other people," and there hasn't been too many adverse reactions. So when you give advice for food, that generally like you just want to cut out the processed food and lower the inflammation, get as many vitamins and nutrients you can get that you need for your body to heal and to fight off the infection and rebuild your vasculature, your all your veins and arteries, that sort of stuff. So I mean that's generally pretty standard advice. When it gets a little bit more tricky with uh, supplements. Sometimes some people can't handle supplements, like their guts are all torn apart from the inflammation. So they take the capsules and they have like an adverse reaction to it or whatever it is. So yeah, supplements can be a bit tricky.
Mhm.
And food as well, like for getting like zinc from meat. Some people can't handle meat when they're sick because it can be a fairly heavy thing for your gut to digest. So that's another tough thing as well. So you sort of have to say, okay, well, what's worked for you at the moment? What can you tolerate? And just figuring out like a way to go ahead. So you don't need to get zinc from meat. You can get it from vegan sources or other places. Supplements for zinc can work, but they're not always absorbed as good. So it is a bit of a tricky thing to sort of feel out with a person. They might not have the information that they need to proceed. So you have to take it step by step and say, okay, well, we can try this, we can try that. What have you tried so far? And and just see what works for them and slowly figure out the way to recover.
And I've gotten so sensitive to certain supplements or antibiotics or medications in the last 5.5 years. So I understand exactly what you mean. You're preaching to the choir here when you talk about that. And in terms of being able to be back to your baseline, what can you do now that you couldn't do before? And does that make you happy?
I can pretty much do everything I used to be able to do. I'd say I can't work out quite at the same intensity as I used to. I used to be able to just thrash myself on, going out for a bike ride or playing sport or in the gym. And sure, I'd feel tired, but within like a couple of days, I'd recover. Whereas now, I find I'm about 95 to or so percent recovered, I think. And yeah, if I sort of exceed that 95% capacity, then I might have like a couple of days where I'm not feeling too good. Like it's more than just fatigue from overexerting myself. It's sort of like your body goes into this like almost as if like the virus reactivates a little bit. And you have to sort of keep it squash it down again. So yeah, like it's I can pretty much do everything I used to be able to do. I just have to take it a bit easier. I'm getting older too. Like I'm 36 now, so it's not quite like I'm back in my 20s again. So that's definitely part of it. But yeah, like it feels great. Like I can pretty much have no real limits on what I can do. I just have to just take it easy, but I can build everything back up to where I want it to be. I just need to maybe take it a bit slower and warm up a little bit more, just like most things as you get old.
Although we are saying 36 is not old, right?
Well, it's when I was 25. Yeah, I thought I was old, but now I don't feel so old now. It's all relative, I suppose.
It is all relative, absolutely. And then talk with me about, you are in Australia. Is this something that you want to take global, and are you working on taking this global? I guess considering talking to me is maybe taking this global, but do you feel like you've been able to interact with people worldwide, since there are right now, I think, about 400 million COVID long haulers across the world? This is something that knows no boundaries and knows no borders. So, what are you hoping to achieve across continents?
Yeah, it was when I logged onto Twitter a couple of years ago for the first time, and I saw that there was people around the world struggling with this. I've talked to some people in England, there's a Norwegian lady I've talked to, a few people in America. So yeah, it's 100%. It's a global thing. As we all know, the virus went everywhere, and it seems there's about 10% of people who get COVID seem to develop long haul symptoms. That seems to be the statistics. So yeah, I would love to get the word out there as much as I can. Uh, obviously to all the Western English speaking countries, my book's in English, so that helps with that. Uh, in the future, I could do audiobooks in different languages or even translations, so that's always an option. But yeah, for now, it's just getting the word out there in English, pushing it in social media, and just seeing where it takes me. I'm working with some social media guys that know all this stuff because, I mean, I'm a fairly introverted person, so I'm not a huge fan of all that attention on social media. So I think I'd rather have other people manage that for me, and I can just sort of be the guy uh, doing the content, and they can tell me what works and what doesn't work. So yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to share this with as many people around the world as possible, and yeah, just fix this problem because it seems to be that the medical profession, there are some people that talk about it, but
Mhm.
it is something that isn't really, it's not well funded, and doctors a lot of the time just say, "Oh, I can't find anything wrong with you." So yeah, I can't do anything, and I don't want to bash them too much, but I think yeah, it's a huge problem that isn't being addressed by the authorities. So that's part of why I wanted to get into this stuff.
Thank you so much for talking with me. I really appreciate it. If anyone wants to contact you directly, how can they get a hold of you?
Twitter's probably the best place now, so my handle is just Mike J Alcock, all one word. And yeah, I'm always checking messages and looking at posts. So if you want to get in touch, that's probably the best way.
I want to hear from you, whether it be your experiences with long COVID or maybe a thought you had from something you heard today. Find me on Instagram, Angeline_travels, or on X at JL Angeline. I'll see you later.